Update. Fiancé's friend wants to wear an almost white dress to our wedding. Original post. Essentially, my fiancé has a friend from college that I've only met once. I was never a huge fan of her, as she's been snarky with me in the past, but he wanted to invite her and her boyfriend because her boyfriend is a fun guy, and his friends still like her. I was fine with it. My fiancé and her aren't close anymore, so we were loosely considering inviting them, and decided it couldn't hurt. I really didn't think much of it until yesterday, when she posted a clothing haul on Instagram and pulled out this almost white gown, and claimed she would be wearing it to a wedding in June. Our wedding is in June. I replied to her post and said exactly the following. I love that white set you showed. I might have to snag it myself. For the dress though, is that what you plan to wear to our wedding? She replied, yep. Nothing else. Just yep. I asked my bridal party what their thoughts were, and every single person said this was outrageous. None of us are particularly conservative, but the cut feels a little bit much for a wedding. I could easily overlook that in exchange for it not being so close to white. On camera especially, it looked very white, so I am sure it will photograph as white. I responded and asked if she would be able to find it in another color, and she said, no, I will be wearing this, or I just won't come. It's a yellow dress, sweetie. Calm down. Kiss emoji. I haven't replied yet, and my fiancé doesn't know any of this is happening, but I am very strongly considering withdrawing their invite with my fiancé's blessing, which I am sure I will have, since we were on the fence about inviting them in the first place. It's not even just the dress color, but the fact that she is trying to call the shots on our day, and continues to be so snarky to me, that rubs me the wrong way. Would I be the a-hole if we decide to cancel their invite? A photo of the dress is attached. I can sort of see how it could be deemed yellow, but it still just seems way too close for my liking. Now for the top comments before reading the update. An invite. She doesn't like you. You could ask to wear something less skin-bearing. That mesh part is not good. I didn't want to be the body police and call out the fact that there's very little to it, but yeah, I really hate the design as well. It could be cute for some type of gala or cruise ship event, but a black tie wedding just doesn't seem like the place for a super cut-out sheen dress. The dress is one thing. Being condescending and downright rude to you is another. I'd uninvite this person and not give it another thought. If her boyfriend is cool, he can come on his own. Problem solved. Agreed. At first I was like, just let her wear it. She'll only embarrass herself. But then the calm down with the kiss emoji? Absolutely not. Yeah, withdraw the invite. It's your wedding, and this girl sounds like an attention-seeking bee. Yep, posting on social media that she is going to wear a long, near-white dress to a wedding is drama-seeking behavior in itself, even if she doesn't go through with it. It's a move only someone desperate for a reaction would make. Her replies just confirm this. Now for the update. It was heavily requested that I update my post from yesterday, and truly, who am I to disappoint? I got tons of feedback from people giving me ideas on how to spite her, to people calling me a raging control freak for wanting people to follow a dress code for a wedding my fiancé and I are spending a lot of money on, so it can be a good experience for us and all of our adored guests. I know I don't have to, but I do want to defend myself to a point. Skip ahead if you don't care, of course. While I can see the side of people having autonomy over their dress, I stand by my thought that it is reasonable to have a standard of dress for your guests. Should a guest be unable to afford something suitable for the dress code, a majority of our guests know that they can contact me, and we can work something out and/or help them get something they're comfortable in that fits the vibe. Additionally, we were advised by our venue to enforce a dress code, which they said protects their reputation. Take that how you will. I've never been referred to as a control freak, but if not wanting a guest to wear a whitish dress to my wedding makes me one, so be it. My upset comes more from a place of lack of respect for myself and our event than the concern of being upstaged. Intentionally wearing something revealing and white to a wedding is a show of disrespect, in my opinion. I have absolutely zero concerns about being upstaged regardless of what anyone wears. There was someone who said I needed a better designer if that was a concern, but I love my dress and that's all that matters. I showed my fiancé the original post and he said, It's like if someone wears muddy sneakers into your brand new Ferrari. You're not worried about them getting more attention because they're wearing muddy sneakers. You're upset because they don't respect your Ferrari and are taking away from what makes it nice. In regard to me seeing her post in the first place, I follow the entire friend group on Instagram and followed her the day I met her and never unfollowed. Honestly, even though I don't like her, I do enjoy her shopping content. Obviously, this ended that, but I did enjoy watching some of her content. I definitely do not go out of my way to stalk her as some have claimed. It showed up on my feed and I watched casually. I just got lucky to have the post where she mentioned our wedding show up on my feed, I guess. But we were told by someone else in the friend group who is friends with her that they planned to tell us what she was going to wear since it, again, showed up very white on camera. We would have found out about this eventually because she was pretty obvious about it. A complete stranger even commented on the post and said, "You're wearing a white gown to a wedding? That's a choice." Lastly, a lot of people attacked me for not immediately alerting my fiancé about the situation. For context, my fiancé works the night shift, and this began while he was at work. He came home from work at 6 a.m. and went straight to sleep. I didn't want to interrupt him while he was working. What he does is important, and him being distracted can be dangerous for others, and I didn't want that. And I definitely didn't want to prevent him from getting sleep once he was home. I thought this wasn't a big enough deal to affect his job or health, and that it could wait until tonight, and honestly, I stand by that. Now for the real update. Friday night, I showed him the messages and explained what happened. He said absolutely not, and agreed that it was 1. Not following the dress code expressed on our invitation, and 2. Way too white for comfort. He was beyond pissed about the way she talked to me, and said he'd handle it. I wanted to be involved, but as many of you pointed out, it could very easily be spun that I'm some crazy bridezilla if I were the one to pull the plug on her coming. He called her on speaker, and she immediately asked if it was about me making a big deal about a dress. He said, "No, it's about me making a big deal about the dress. You're not wearing that to our wedding." You could tell she was already escalated and went off about how she won't allow anyone to say what she can and can't put on her body. He stayed quiet while she ranted for at least a couple of minutes. It took all I had in me not to chime in, calm down, and waited for her to go silent. As soon as she did, he said something to the effect of, "You are no longer invited," and hung up. It only took about 10 minutes before someone reached out to us asking for the full story. She told one of my fiancé's friends that I freaked out about her, dressing like a whore. Mind you, I said nothing about the style to her, and I haven't said anything about her looking like a whore anywhere, including here on Reddit. The post blew up and she may have seen it at some point, but I know I never said anything like that. A lot of commenters did though. We explained our stance and that her behavior surrounding everything was unacceptable and that we did not want problems on our big day. Everyone seemed to just let it go. People who know her are still reaching out, and probably will continue to, as she makes her rounds freaking out to people. I wanted to see if she was going to blast us on social media, but we've both been blocked, which is honestly fine. All in all, I stand by the fact that having a dress code at a wedding is fine. She is no longer coming. No word on whether her boyfriend is coming, but I suspect not. I plan to just move on and alert security that she is not to be let in. Thankfully, we will have security and a day of coordinator to hide behind if she tries to pull anything crazy, since she does know the venue and date. If anything crazy happens, I'll update in June LOL. If you come across an Instagram reel or TikTok of a girl upset that she was uninvited to a wedding because of her dress choice, just know that it could be my wedding, and the dress was only part of it, haha. Thanks to everyone for the helpful advice. Love your fiancé's support, and the way he said it's him making a big deal about it. That was my favorite part. So many of these posts have their fiancé not have their brides back. Then to see your partner stand up so strongly for you warms my heart. You've got yourself a real keeper. But also, good on you for standing your ground. My jaw dropped when he said that honestly. It was such a smooth response, LOL. 1. The dress is ugly and not wedding appropriate. 2. Everyone knows you don't wear a white or a white passing dress to a wedding. 3. You don't sass the bride or groom when they request you pick something else to wear to their wedding. Best wishes to you and your fiancé. I hope you have a wonderful and entitlement-free day. Please update even if there's no drama. It's a yellow dress. Bish, that dress is butter at best. AKA French vanilla, AKA off-white, AKA white. Get out of here. Whoever is attacking you for this is foolish. Of course you have every right to be angry about someone wearing white to your wedding. Reddit can be so weird sometimes. Yeah, even here I am getting people calling me crazy. It doesn't feel crazy to me at all, and I have my future spouse and friends backing me, which I'm grateful for. But I feel bad for anyone who doesn't have my support system that comes here for advice. Some people here are really out of touch in my opinion. That said, it is the internet, so I get it, LOL. Next story. Am I overreacting? Wedding guest called my caterers. My fiancé, 34 male, and I, 36 female, are in the final stages of wedding planning. We have a handful of guests with allergies and dietary restrictions that would otherwise be limited by our buffet options. One of the guests, one of the groomsmen's wives, has several severe allergies and gave them to us in detail. We gave those allergies and restrictions to our caterers, who went through their full menu and selected 5 alternative options that met every allergy and restriction. We are only allowed to pick one of those for all the guests, so we did a small poll, and luckily all of the guests picked the same option, except for the one with the severe allergies. She asked if there was a way for her to have meat, but that wasn't going to be an option because we are allowed one specialty meal, and others we need to accommodate are vegetarian. A few days later, we still hadn't heard back from her with her selection, so we reached out again. We were told that she and her husband took care of it. It turns out they went to our venue's website, found the caterers, and made their own arrangements, so she could have chicken kebabs. I was floored. Why didn't they tell us they were doing that? Why didn't my caterers tell me? I reached out to the caterers, and they said they hadn't realized my fiancé and I didn't know the guest was calling them. They also didn't know this was a guest we had already given the specialty meal options to. They thought she was just an overly concerned guest who hadn't alerted me to her full allergies. This guest's husband is in our wedding party and has been friends with my fiancé for decades. My fiancé is a godparent to their children. Is this something I'm overreacting to because I'm generally stressed leading up to the wedding? Or am I right to be annoyed? She can't eat one meal without meat? Yeah, this is not on the caterer in my opinion. Should they have contacted you? Yes, but their explanation makes sense and is reasonable. This is on her and her husband for overstepping as hell. Your feelings are valid. That is so disrespectful. But now you really only have 2 options. Let it go or don't. Is this hurting you or your wedding? Is it adding a cost, causing an issue with other guests, etc.? Or is it the principal? Personally, the principal would make me not associate with her anymore. I'd also make her cover any extra associated costs, if there are any, and fix anything else that is broken by her behavior. That being said, I wouldn't consider uninviting her, being hateful toward her, or asking my husband to stop associating with them, as I would respect his friendship. That's true. The caterers were under the assumption we were in the loop. Because we weren't part of the conversation to agree to any extra costs before they agreed to make an additional meal, they won't charge us for it. I think it's mostly the feeling of having a close friend go around us like that. We had received her allergies in detail and forwarded that word for word to the caterers, which we also told this guest. A heads up before calling, especially when it may have changed costs, would have been appreciated. I'm leaning toward letting it go, and I agree that I don't want to interfere in my fiancé's friendship. I just wanted to work out the jumble of thoughts in my brain about it, so I appreciate your response. Last story. Am I the a-hole for documenting every time my husband chose his mother over me and then finally leaving without saying anything? I never thought my marriage would make me feel this invisible. When I got married, I knew I would be living with my husband's family. In our culture, that's normal, so I didn't question it much. I tried to adjust and be respectful. I cooked with my mother-in-law, helped around the house with my sister-in-law, and tried my best to fit in. But over time, things started to feel very one-sided. My mother-in-law constantly criticizes me. It doesn't matter what I do, there is always something wrong with it. If I cook, it's not the way she likes it. If I clean, it's not done properly. Even small things somehow become a problem. At first, I thought maybe I was just being sensitive, so I kept quiet. The hardest part is my husband. Every single time there is a disagreement, he automatically takes his mother's side. Not once has he tried to understand how I feel. After a while, I started noticing a pattern, so I began writing things down in my phone. Every time something happened where he chose her over me, I documented it. Not because I wanted to use it against him, but because I felt like I was slowly losing my sense of reality. I needed to know if I was imagining things or if it was really happening this often. Within a few months, the list became very long. There were small things, like when I wanted to cook something I like and was told that kind of food isn't allowed in the house. Or when I tried to explain how I felt and he said I was overreacting and that I should just listen to his mother. Eventually, I realized something painful. In this house, I don't feel like a wife. I feel like someone who just lives here and is expected to obey. Recently, I looked at the list again and it honestly broke my heart. I kept asking myself if this is what the rest of my life will look like. Part of me wants to just leave quietly for a while and stay with my family so I can think clearly. Another part of me feels guilty for even considering that. So now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for keeping track of these moments and thinking about walking away because I feel like my husband will always choose his mother over me? The second you started that document, it was very likely over. Its only purpose was to convince yourself. You're right. I think I mostly made that list just to comfort myself and make sense of everything. But now it feels like if I follow what that list is showing me, my marriage might end in divorce. I'm just a random Redditor who doesn't truly know anything. But to me, it doesn't sound like you're happy, and I think everyone deserves a chance at being happy. You guessed right. I used to be happy before this marriage, but after I entered this house, my happiness slowly started disappearing little by little. Not the a-hole. You're in an abusive situation. The reason you feel guilty is because they've been treating you terribly for so long that you now believe that you're the problem. I think staying with your family for a while will help clear your head and allow you to really evaluate the situation. Is this how you want to spend the rest of your life? If you plan on having children with this man, would you want to raise them in such a toxic environment? I honestly don't want to have a child in this marriage anymore because I don't want my child to grow up in the same environment and suffer the way I am. You're right. I think I need to go somewhere peaceful. Maybe stay with my family for a while and then decide whether this marriage should continue or if it's better to end it with a divorce.